and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Today on Good Morning Maine, the Bangor Police Department continues to look for a robbery suspect, releasing new footage in hopes of catching their guy. Plus, the state has a large heating assistance request backlog, with many people worried about how they'll heat their homes for the rest of the winter. And it's not just affecting people in California. Home insurance rates could be impacted across the nation due to extreme weather trends. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith. Happy Friday and thank you for tuning in this morning. We have some chilly weather on the way. Let's get a look at that forecast with meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, happy Friday. We have a gale watch that is posted until 10 p.m. Saturday, so we'll see an upgrade in the future with gusty winds on the way that will cause the surf to get rather active. For now, not looking too bad. We have some clouds that are passing through, going from the west and going toward the east. These clouds will be breaking up later on today to reveal a good amount of sunshine. Let's zoom things out. The rest of the northeast not looking too bad. Again, we have clouds moving over the ocean now, and overall a little bit of snow across some parts of the northeast too, but for us, we will stay quiet today. So futurecast, overall a partly cloudy sky. We'll watch for more clouds that will be on the way later on tonight. But for now, the wind's not too bad. They'll stay rather calm today in the parts of tonight. But once we head towards tomorrow, gusty winds could reach up to around 25 to even 30 miles per hour at times. So for today, upper 20s on the way. Overall, a partly cloudy sky with the wind overall looking nice and calm. By tonight, we have 14 degrees, increasing clouds expected with that south wind at around 5 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, we have low 40s, mostly cloudy for most of the day. Rain and snow will be moving in late with that south wind getting up to around 25 miles per hour. Your hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period showing a lot of sunshine on the way with temperatures in the upper 20s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
Thank you, Devin. We'll have a look at that full 5-day a little later on. Well, first thing this morning, the Penobscot County Sheriff's Office says an elderly Newburgh man died when he accidentally became trapped in his shed and succumbed to the frigid conditions outside. In a Facebook post, the Sheriff's Office said the man was found yesterday evening after they responded to his Newburgh home for a report of a missing person. Family members told deputies they were not able to locate the 73-year-old man who lived in the home alone. The Sheriff's Office said nothing appeared out of the ordinary and the man's personal effects were still there, but there was evidence that the man may have been missing for several days. Deputies decided to search the property, including a small shed that had been built along the home. The Sheriff's Office says it appeared the man entered the shed to reach frozen pipes, but the shed door closed and latched, trapping him inside. Due to mobility issues, they say it appears the man was unable to get out of the shed or out from under the home. They're reminding people that with current outside conditions, it's important to ask for help with heating or other home maintenance issues. In other news now, a man from Gardner was killed Thursday morning following a crash on Interstate 95. State police say a pickup truck driven by 69-year-old Philip Marson went off the road in Sydney and crashed into trees. Rescuers responded to the scene around 7 Thursday morning, but Marson had died at the scene. Troopers say excessive speed appears to have been a factor in the crash. A tractor-trailer crash on the Maine Turnpike snarled traffic on Thursday. According to the Department of Public Safety, two big rigs collided near exit 7 in York around 5:42 p.m. Officials say one of the trucks was a water tanker that ended up rolling over. It was driven by 64-year-old Larry Roberge of Waterboro. He was transported to a hospital with serious injuries. The other driver was a 40-year-old man from New Brunswick who wasn't hurt. The crash backed up traffic in the southbound lanes. The accident remains under investigation this morning. The Bangor Police Department has released new video of a robbery suspect. They say the suspect held up the Circle K at the intersection of Griffin and Broadway on Monday. Police hope someone will recognize the robber and give them a call. He's described as being a white male between 5 foot 8 inches and 6 foot 2 inches tall. He weighs between 250 and 300 pounds and was wearing a black mask, gray North Face sweatshirt, and possibly a black rain jacket underneath. He was also wearing gray gloves with possible texture on the palms, Anyone with information is urged to contact the Bangor Police Department at 947-7384. A mother is turning to the community to help her son and his fiancée after a catastrophic incident left them severely burned. Some viewers may find these images shown in this story upsetting. Viewer discretion is advised. Our Doug Banks has the story.
It's a mother's worst nightmare.
I always wait to get a knock on the door, and then when he called me.
On January 6th, Deborah Main's son Christopher and his fiancée Shauna were staying in a tent in Skowhegan when the state fire marshal's office says a faulty propane tank exploded.
He didn't have time to get her out of the tent. She froze. So he ripped the back of the tent open and drug her out and put her out because she was on fire.
Maines says they were quickly life-flighted to Maine Health Maine Medical Center in Portland to be treated for their severe burns.
His hair was all singed off, full of ash all over him. The tent was stuck to his hair and his body. And she was in the room next door. It looked like a war zone in there with all the bandages and stuff all over the floor. It was terrible. She was just screaming and screaming. She has burns all over her. And she just got diagnosed with breast cancer the day before, so she's dealing with a lot.
According to Maines, Christopher was the owner of New England Drywall until he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And for the past 6 months, he and his fiancée had been experiencing homelessness. Due to Maine's housing situation, they couldn't be together for extended periods of time.
There's so many homeless people out here, you know, and a lot of them are not there because of drugs or this or that. They're out there because their life circumstances have led them to that. Christopher owned his own business, and then when he got sick with this schizophrenia, everything changed. I had actually had him here 13 days before this happened. The day I took him back, it happened.
Maines now looks to the community to help with expenses and lodging for her son while he stays in the Brackett House.
I would pray that the community would come forward, you know, with anything to help at this point, you know, and prayers are good too.
A link to the GoFundMe Maines created, as well as information on donations, can be found on this story on our website, foxbangor.com. In Skowhegan, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Emergency crews in Dexter helped to recover a snowmobile from a watery grave. Officials say a father and son had set out to go ice fishing on Tuesday when they broke through the ice. They were able to help each other out from the icy water, but the snowmobile sank in Lake Wasaugig. Dexter firefighters, a diver, and workers from the water district all gathered Thursday to remove the sled. Orange cones have been set up around the recovery holes in the ice to alert others about the danger. Officials say the owners of the sled will have to foot the bill for the cost of the recovery. And my apologies if I mispronounced the name of that lake. I have not heard of that one before. And Craig's not here, so I can't ask him. Sorry about that. Okay, moving on. This year, more than 70,000 Mainers applied for energy assistance, which will likely be a record number. The need has never been greater across the state, and with bitter cold temperatures, families are still waiting for help. Brad Rogers has more on the story.
It's a big help when I get the oil assistance.
Joni Jones lives in Lincoln County along with her son and 2 grandchildren, and every year she applies for heating oil help.
My only income is small Social Security, and so I apply for oil assist so the children don't get cold.
She says right now she's still waiting to learn when that help may arrive. Midcoast Maine Community Action in Bath administers energy assistance funds for Lincoln and Saginaw counties. They told me they're understaffed with a backlog of applications they're still trying to process. Same with Community Concepts serving Androscoggin and Oxford counties. Its communications manager told us we have received 7,156 applications so far this heating season and continue to prioritize emergency cases. This includes households with less than a quarter tank of oil, fewer than 7 days worth of firewood, or less than 20% of propane.
CAP agencies are pushing out $1 million a week. And still then, there are backlogs, but they're working hard and doing a great job.
This winter, Maine Housing will dole out more than $40 million of federal energy assistance to 13 community action agencies around the state who will distribute those funds.
That sounds like a lot of money. It really needs to be a lot more. to meet the demand.
With her oil tank now below half and a bitter cold week ahead, Joni Jones told us she's starting to get worried.
Yeah, in this colder weather, it definitely makes the furnace work harder. So it does concern me. I want to make sure that we have enough to get through the season. They assure me you're not the only one. We are working as hard as we can, and I understand that.
Agencies tell us the need for heating oil assistance is as high as it's ever been, and they're doing their best to help everyone as quickly as they can.
A sign of the times. All right, the time now is 6:11. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, a team of firefighters from Maine has joined the battle in California to help tame raging wildfires. We'll have the story coming up, but first, let's take another quick look at that forecast. Today, our local forecast is partly cloudy, high of almost 30 degrees, dropping down to a low of 14 overnight. Clouds are increasing as the night goes on. For our Saturday, we are likely to get a rainy, snowy mix later on in the day. Highs will be around 40 degrees, so it could teeter between rain and snow for sure. Okay, right after the break, we'll have more.
Brandywine Graphics makes it easy. We are the top source for screen printing, embroidery, branded merchandise, and direct-to-garment printing. With 25 years experience, state-of-the-art equipment, and a commitment to excellence, why trust your apparel products with anyone else? And now, Brandywine Graphics can easily launch online stores for your school or organization. Simply design your products from brands like Eddie Bauer, Carhartt, and more. Share the link and we'll do the rest. Like we said, Brandywine Graphics makes it easy. Find out more at brandywinegraphics.com or at our Hamden location.
Frisky's World.
Come on, let's explore.
That's made with real salmon.
Look what I found. Little soups for cats.
There's the delicious taste of tuna we treasure.
Definitely coming back tomorrow.
Friskies, always more to explore. The wildfires, the destruction, the heroes and hope. Now this morning, GMA is in LA. Robin, Michael, Ginger, the GMA family helping families in need. Watch this morning to see how you can help. SoCal Strong.
This is my playpen.
I get that, Your Honor.
Perfect.
Judge Judy never misses a beat.
Weeknights at 5 on ABC7.
A social media celebrity known as the Down East Cowboy is turning Maine into a go-to destination.
I go all over the state of Maine and beyond, just showcasing different things, whether it's the history, whether it's a story, it's an adventure.
We found him exploring Castine. We'll have the story tonight on ABC7 News at 6.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. Well, Maine is entering the fight against the raging wildfires wreaking havoc in Los Angeles County. 20 Maine firefighters have stepped up to help fight the flames in California. One of them is Rich Bowden with the Augusta Fire Department. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bichard spoke with Bowden's chief.
You have to understand that when they're heading out, they make that choice to go for deployment. It's a personal choice for them. It's truly a sacrifice.
Chief Dave Groder of the Augusta Fire Department is talking about the recent deployment of 20 Maine firefighters and forest rangers to help assist with the Southern California wildfires. One of those members is Rich Bowden, a firefighter with Augusta since 2012, and a hotshot, which is a firefighter trained to deal with forest fires.
Rich has been out several times. Theo, who possibly could be going out this next round, he's been out 3 or 4 times. And they're sacrificing their own time away from families, away from the job.
Bowden is using his vacation days to help with the fire. In fact, Chief Groder says he wasn't aware of Bowden's decision to deploy until right before he left.
But you can only imagine that we are type A personalities and love the excitement. And to deal with something like that and that magnitude and being part of something like that, it builds for your own personal resume.
While Bowden is building skills for his own personal resume, Chief Groder says part of being a hotshot is sharing your skills with your department once you come home, because there are many differences between battling a wildfire and what they usually deal with in central Maine.
Weather is very unpredictable, especially when you have the valleys and stuff that they're dealing with out there, the ocean winds that they're talking, the Santa Ana winds that are 100 miles an hour. We don't see that stuff here. Structure fire, we have wind-driven fires, but we calculate that at a much lower speeds.
Overall, Chief Groder says he is proud of Bowden and all of his firefighters that volunteer to deploy to help those in need.
They're going above and beyond what we require of them, so they're doing it on their own. I get to tell that my members are out there assisting, like any department would, because there are other members from other departments that are doing the same thing.
In Augusta, I'm Cora Bouchard for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
Over 400 Red Cross workers are also supporting Californians as they deal with the devastation left by the wildfires. And yesterday, the Brewer American Legion's chaplain, Paul Miller, departed from the Bangor International Airport to do his part. This is Miller's second deployment with the Red Cross. He also deployed for Hurricane Helene response efforts. Miller specializes in disaster spiritual care, which he says is a very important part of the recovery process. Because, as he simply explains, people need people.
To each person is different. I became very close to the ones in North Carolina, to say the least. They're my friends. They're in need. So I know what's going to happen out there. And I know I got to be careful, because one of the things they train us for is you can't take all their emotions upon yourself. I know I've been trained that way, and I know, and I think I'll be fine out there. When I get away from there coming back, I may not be.
Really impactful words there from the chaplain. Miller will be in California for at least 2 weeks, but may stay longer based on the needs of the area. A link to donate to the Red Cross can be found on our website, foxbangor.com. The damage from the wildfires will run into the billions. While it's still too early to begin rebuilding, we're taking a look closer at how homeowners insurance will play a key role in those efforts, and more specifically, how and why our rates could be affected here in Maine.
The California wildfires are just the latest in a string of natural disasters that could affect homeowners insurance rates in Maine.
The changing climate and all of the increasing frequency of storms and major disasters certainly has an effect on everybody's insurance rates.
Even though California is thousands of miles away, Maine Bureau of Insurance Superintendent Bob Carey says Maine residents could still feel the impact.
Insurers purchase what's called reinsurance, which is insurance for insurers. So for catastrophic, cases like this, the insurance companies themselves will purchase reinsurance, and those are global. Those rates are set globally. So we're affected by that on the margins, because insurance companies that operate in Maine purchase reinsurance from these global entities, and they're affected by having to pay claims now with running the billions of dollars in California.
Mainers we spoke with say rising rates are certainly a concern.
I mean, I wish it wasn't fair, but I do kind of see the insurance companies are, under a lot of stress right now, I'm sure.
There has to be some sort of security for homeowners. However, if homeowners choose to live in certain places that have natural disasters, they have to think about that pretty carefully.
Carey says there are steps homeowners can take to help keep their own costs down.
One of the chief reasons that insurers look to cancel someone's policy is that the house is in disrepair, there's a hole in the roof, or the roof needs to be replaced. That's a big issue here in Maine.
To keep your premium down, Carey also says you can increase your deductible and reach out to your agent to see if you qualify for any discounts. In Bangor, I'm Alex Schley for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
A lot of talk about insurance these days. All right, the time now is 6:19. After the break, the latest from Southern California. As of early this morning, the Santa Ana fires were 50% contained, but there are still worries about wind speeds. The latest on that, plus our full local forecast, coming up on Good Morning Maine.
Ghirardelli Intense Dark. Bold. Rich. Intensely delicious dark chocolate. Ghirardelli Intense Dark makes life a bite better.
Friday nights are for basketball fans. Friday Night Fast Break is your source for everything that is Maine high school basketball. Highlights and local analysis. It's the only show that hits every corner of Maine's hardwood hoop landscape, high school, college, and professional. Join us Friday night during basketball season for Friday Night Fast Break on ABC7 News at 11. Brought to you by Coastal Auto Parts, your local Napa Auto Parts dealer with 30 locations, owned and operated by a Maine family that cares.
You come alive in the dead of winter and start work early on snow days, because snowed in is not an option. The Kubota Snow lineup of compact tractors, RTVs, and versatile attachments are built to move, plow, blow, and thrive in the winter. So when the snow falls, you could rise to meet it. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 84 months, plus save up to $300.
Available at Doors Equipment, 1468 Outer Hammond Street, Bangor.
Toss out the mess. Toss in the power sheet. Toss out pricey. Now toss like a boss. Arm & Hammer Power Sheets clean 3 times more small loads than premium tile detergent at the same price.
Now to Southern California. The Santa Ana winds are expected to return next week, so the race is on for crews to contain those 2 major fires. One of them now 55% contained. ABC's Brianna Nally has the latest.
This morning, at least 18 people remain missing in the Southern California fire zone. 2 new deaths confirmed, raising the toll to 27. A break in the winds allowing crews to gain ground on the flames, but new threats are emerging. This home was split in 2 by a landslide.
If you look right above it, you're going to see a lot of smoldering debris and things that have burned.
Authorities are reopening some areas for residents to return to. Linda Zhang went back to what's left of her home. She's staying in an Airbnb, struggling to find a new place to live.
So is everything you're wearing donated?
Yes, everything I'm wearing except my phone is donated.
Down to the purse and the shoes?
Down to the purse and the shoes, yeah, everything.
The fires damaged or destroyed at least 12,000 homes and other buildings, including 10 schools, as communities look to rebuild. Fire officials say they hope to finally enforce a zoning law, calling for homeowners to create a 5-foot zone around their house that's clear of vegetation.
The science is very clear that removing combustible material in its entirety from that space is highly correlated to reductions in structure loss.
With so many people having lost their insurance before the fires, law enforcement is reporting a rise in threats against insurance executives. But those in need are finding solace in the generosity of others.
When I heard about these fires, my heart just went out to the community because we've just lived it, and I just could not stay home.
Pastor Sarah Beckman knows what it's like to heal after a wildfire destroyed her community on Hawaii in 2023. So she decided to follow the aid group Mercy Chefs to Los Angeles. The group provides hot meals to those in need. Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
All right, the time now is 6:23, and it's time to get a look at our local forecast with meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Happy Friday. Gale watches are up along the coast and now will last until about 10 p.m. on Saturday. Expect this to get upgraded in the future with active surf that will be expected. Let's check in on the wave heights right now at around 1 to 2 feet according to the buoys right nearby. So we're calm at the moment, but don't expect this to last with active surf that will be making a return for the daytime tomorrow. For now on land, we have some clouds that are passing through, tracking from the west and going toward the east overall. As we zoom things out, a little bit of snow across the northeast, but for us, we will be staying dry today, but our turn for precipitation will be on the way soon. So let's get into things right now with Futurecast. So overall, a partly cloudy sky expected today. Later on tonight, we will have clouds moving in, so increasing clouds overnight. As we head towards your Saturday, most of it dry under a mostly cloudy sky, but then our next system begins to move in late in the day on Saturday, which will bring opportunities for rain and snow that will be moving in with temperatures that will be warm. We'll have snow to the north with rain chances to the south. This will last through early Sunday morning. Then once we head towards Sunday afternoon, this will be out of here. And then once we head towards parts of Sunday night and Monday, another system on the way that we'll have to watch. This one at this point looks to be all snow. So for now, let's talk about the first system. And to the north, maybe an inch or less of snow before we're all finished up. None to the south because it will mainly be as rain. But regarding rainfall or liquid equivalent of that, we're looking at maybe 1/4 of an inch or less of rainfall overall before we're all finished up. So, of course, we'll keep an eye on that. The winds will be increasing coming up, not today or tonight, but once we head towards tomorrow, gusty winds up to 25 to even 30 miles per hour will be a possibility. So be careful with that when you venture out. Average high is 28 degrees. We'll do upper 20s today. Lower 40s as we head towards your Saturday, mid-30s Sunday. And then we're in the teens for a bit Monday, Tuesday, and a Wednesday. Back in the low 20s as we head towards your Thursday. Forecast coming up for today, we have upper 20s, partly cloudy, with the wind overall looking nice and calm. And then by tonight, we have 14 degrees, increasing clouds on the way, and that south wind at around 5 miles per hour. Tomorrow, lower 40s, mostly cloudy for most of the day. Rain and snow moving in late, with that south wind getting up to around 25 miles per hour. And let's check out your extended forecast. So a slight chance for rain and snow Sunday morning, otherwise partly cloudy with highs in the mid-30s. Snow chances on Monday with highs in the upper teens, and lower teens for your Tuesday under a mostly sunny sky.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Orono Arcade has expanded, and we have dozens of new games to play. We have prize machines, including an entire section dedicated to your favorite modern games. We have games from the 80s and games from the 90s. Plus, we have the largest selection of indie arcade games in the country, along with 9-hole blacklight mini golf. We also have a brand new birthday party room. Hey, we have it all. Come on up to Orono and experience one of the most unique family entertainment centers in Maine.
Welcome to Residential Roofers, your trusted local contractor for over 30 years. From groundwork to roofing, siding, windows, and doors, we've been transforming homes and businesses with premium craftsmanship and materials. We understand the value of your investment. That's why we're committed to your complete satisfaction, whether it's enhancing curb appeal or improving functionality. Ready to bring your vision to life? Call us today for a no-obligation free estimate at 991-1502. Trust your home to Residential Roofers.
Get ideas and inspiration before your next building project even begins at Hammond Lumber Company. Create your vision when you explore Hammond's extensive in-store showroom displays, showcasing innovative trends from industry-leading suppliers and designers. Your Hammond sales rep will help you find the look you like, and Hammond's design team will help you make it your own. And Hammond delivers from 22 locations across Maine and New Hampshire. For your next building project, find your vision at Hammond Lumber Company.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
There's one number you need to know. It's called Joe.
Now to the debate over your taxes. The man President-elect Donald Trump has chosen to oversee the economy was asked, are the wealthy being allowed to get too wealthy, thanks to tax cuts? Here's ABC's Andrea Fujii.
With President-elect Trump set to take office Monday, the taxes we pay are facing scrutiny as Trump's cabinet picks face confirmation hearings. Treasury Secretary nominee Scott Bessent, a billionaire hedge fund manager, was grilled yesterday by Democrats who argued the ultra-rich are benefiting the most from the Trump tax cuts of 2017, which are likely to be extended in Trump's second term.
These tech billionaires are launching rockets into space and building themselves these lavish doomsday bunkers, buying up newspapers, all of which gives them more power. So what I want to ask you is, it seems to me that this concentration of wealth is not good for our country, and it is certainly not doing anything to lower prices for working families.
I believe that President Trump, and if confirmed myself, are committed to addressing this affordability crisis. And part of the affordability crisis stems from this great inflation that we've had.
Bessent was also asked about the trillion-dollar cost of Trump's tax cuts.
So while the benefit went to the richest people in America, the cost is being borne by the children of working people all over this country.
The top 50% of Americans now pay 98% of taxes.
Data shows more tax savings were given to the rich compared to the middle or lower class. And if the Trump tax cuts are extended, the highest income households will receive more than half of the benefits. Critics also questioning the influence of billionaires in the upcoming Trump administration, with at least 13 set to take on government positions.
Bessent also said he's against raising the minimum wage, currently at $7.25 an hour, saying the issue should be left up to the states. Andrea Fujii, ABC News, New York.
A SpaceX rocket explodes shortly after launching, causing a light show across the sky. A Starship rocket broke apart Thursday during its 7th test flight. The spacecraft's 6 engines shut down one by one. SpaceX owner Elon Musk says the spacecraft went into a, quote, rapid unscheduled disassembly. Parts of the spacecraft streaked across the skies on the island of Turks and Caicos, leaving behind a colorful stream of smoke. The spacecraft was attempting a near loop around the world. Fortunately, the booster made a great return drop into the landing tower's devices. No word yet on if and when that space junk will be retrieved. This morning, the future of the popular social media app TikTok is up in the air. A ban is set to take place on Sunday unless the company cuts ties with its China-based parent company. Nicole D'Antonio is in Washington with the details.
This morning, with the Supreme Court scheduled to issue one or more rare Friday opinions, court watchers are speculating that a ruling on the future of TikTok could come as early as today.
What am I supposed to do?
The justices are facing a Sunday deadline that Congress set last year when they passed a law requiring TikTok to cut ties with China over national security concerns or be banned in the U.S.
They said that they're going to take away TikTok.
The justices could issue a last-minute temporary injunction that pauses the ban while they weigh the case, or they could let the law stand and do nothing at all. Another possibility, President-elect Trump is now considering an executive order to try and circumvent the law, possibly delaying it for 60 to 90 days. But as ABC's Elizabeth Schulze explains, even that could be difficult.
Because at the end of the day, this ban is part of a bipartisan law that was passed through Congress. It would take a lot for the president to be able to overrule something that's already the law.
Trump originally tried to ban TikTok during his first term and even railed against it during the 2024 campaign, but changed course, later vowing to save the app. TikTok CEO is set to attend Trump's inauguration on Monday alongside other tech CEOs. Trump's incoming national security advisor shared his plans to keep the app from going dark.
He's a deal maker. I don't want to get ahead of our executive orders, but we're going to create the space to put that deal in place.
This week, a group of Democrats in the House and Senate introduced a bill that would have given TikTok's parent company an additional 270 days to sell or divest. However, Republican Senator Tom Cotton objected to it. The law does say a president can delay the ban if TikTok is on a path to being sold by its Chinese owner, but there's no public evidence yet of that being the case. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
It would be interesting to see as well. A lot of people are saying that TikTok takes the same type of data from you, the same as Temu and companies like Shein, which are shopping companies that a lot of Americans utilize. So it'll be interesting to see what the difference is between those apps and if legislators follow through on this. All right, coming up on the second half of the newscast, the entertainment world is mourning the loss of director and filmmaker David Lynch. We'll have the details in our show business segment coming up on Good Morning Maine.
When a big storm hits and damages our electrical system, we have a planned approach to get the most customers restored at a time.
We begin by assessing the scope of the damage and helping first responders address emergency situations like down lines across roads.
Then, before you see us in your neighborhoods, power restoration begins at our substations. From there, power travels long distances over these transmission lines.
They're next on the repair list, followed by the lines in your neighborhood.
As we work to bring the most customers online at a time, we'll keep you updated throughout the process. Please remember to report your outage either online or by calling us at 973-2000.
Please stay safe while we work hard to get your power back on.
Your favorite restaurants were half off. It's half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7. Go to foxbangor.com, click on half off dining, and start saving now.
Opa, a Greek Mediterranean dining experience like no other, serving the finest Greek dishes in central Maine. Let executive chef Gage Derbyshire prepare your food while you enjoy a drink. Opa! It's all Greek to me.
Great restaurants from all over Eastern Maine at half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7.
Tanning season is here, and Gold Star Cleaners is the place to tan with over 25 years experience in the industry. Did you know all tanning packages don't expire for 2 full years? And no membership is required. Gold Star Cleaners doesn't upcharge. Tan in any bed or booth, and it's the same price. And we give every customer free Winkies for the best eye care protection in the industry.
January special, buy 20 visits and get $25 off. That's only $3.75 a tan. Start your glow at Gold Star Cleaners.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith, and today is Friday, January 17th, 2025. It's also Kid Inventors Day. This day celebrates the creativity and ingenuity of young people around the world. It may surprise you how many things we use every day that were made by kid inventors. They include earmuffs, popsicles, trampolines, and even Braille. So, encourage the kids in your life. Let them be creative and let them just, explore a little bit, because you never know. You never know. Okay, now for some history. On this day in 1773, Captain Cook's Resolution became the first ship to cross the Antarctic Circle. In 1929, the cartoon character Popeye made his first appearance in a comic strip called Thimble Theater. And in 1950, robbers pulled off a historic robbery in Boston. 11 men stole more than $2 million from a Brinks armored car depot. It was the largest robbery in history until that point, and 8 of the suspects were arrested years later and given life sentences. 2 others died before reaching trial. And in 1994, the Northridge earthquake rocked Los Angeles, killing 54 people and causing billions in damage. In 1995, the Los Angeles Rams announced they were moving the team to St. Louis. And in 1997, Ireland legally granted a divorce for the first time following a referendum. The first divorce was granted to a terminally ill man who wished to marry his new partner. And in 1998, President Bill Clinton gave his deposition in the Paula Jones sexual harassment lawsuit. He became the first person to testify as a defendant in a criminal or civil lawsuit. Or first person or first president? That makes more sense. It's Friday. Today's birthdays, moving on now, that's enough of history. Today's birthdays include actor Jim Carrey. He's 63 years old today, one of my favorites growing up. Actress Zooey Deschanel is 45. I love that show, New Girl. And former First Lady Michelle Obama is 61 years old today. Happy birthday to them. All right, moving on now. It's kind of chilly today. Tomorrow is warming up, but it could create kind of some messy conditions. So let's get a look at that forecast with meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, happy Friday. We have a gale watch that is posted until 10 p.m. Saturday, so we'll see an upgrade in the future with gusty winds on the way that will cause the surf to get rather active. For now, not looking too bad. We have some clouds that are passing through, going from the west and going toward the east. These clouds will be breaking up later on today to reveal a good amount of sunshine. Let's zoom things out. The rest of the northeast not looking too bad. Again, we have clouds moving over the ocean now, and overall a little bit of snow across some parts of the northeast too, but for us, we will stay quiet today. So Futurecast, overall a partly cloudy sky. We'll watch for more clouds that will be on the way later on tonight. But for now, the wind's not too bad. They'll stay rather calm today in the parts of tonight. But once we head towards tomorrow, gusty winds could reach up to around 25 to even 30 miles per hour at times. So for today, upper 20s on the way. Overall, a partly cloudy sky with the wind overall looking nice and calm. By tonight, we have have 14 degrees, increasing clouds expected with that south wind at around 5 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, we have low 40s, mostly cloudy for most of the day. Rain and snow will be moving in late with that south wind getting up to around 25 miles per hour. Your hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period showing a lot of sunshine on the way with temperatures in the upper 20s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
Thank you, Devin. Well, the entertainment world is mourning the death of director David Lynch. Lynch received Oscar nominations for his films Blue Velvet, The Elephant Man, and Mulholland Drive. He was also a co-creator of the groundbreaking TV series Twin Peaks. Lynch's family posted a statement on his Facebook page that read, "It is with deep regret that we, his family, announce the passing of the man and the artist, David Lynch. We would appreciate some privacy at this time. There's a big hole in the world now that he's no longer with us." The cause of his death was not disclosed. In August, Lynch said he was suffering from emphysema after many years of smoking and couldn't leave home for fear that he would get COVID. Lynch was 78 years old. And for the latest on what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Rena Roy.
Steven Spielberg, Ron Howard, and Joe Russo among the filmmakers paying tribute to David Lynch following the visionary director's death Thursday at age 78. Spielberg saying the world is going to miss such an original and unique voice.
What you all did was one of the most painful moments in the history of this company.
After nearly 3 years, the Apple TV Plus series Severance is back for a second season. The first season of the bizarre and baffling show ended with a huge cliffhanger, and star Britt Lauer says people have definitely tried to pump the cast for details.
I think there's that moment that we've all experienced of like someone wanting to know and then saying immediately, but don't tell me anything. And I think that people want to be on the journey of mystery.
The storm's coming. Not one of this earth.
Outlander airs its season 7 finale tonight on Starz, followed by the premiere of the steamy relationship drama The Couple Next Door.
Don't think I haven't noticed the way you look at them.
Sam Heughan stars in both, but he says his new role is a lot different than his Outlander character, Jamie Fraser.
It's really interesting to play someone who's maybe more morally ambiguous and makes bad decisions.
Alrighty then. And actor Jim Carrey is 63 today, and that's what's happening in Hollywood. Rena Roy, ABC News.
All right, still to come here this morning, Tyler Cruz will have our sports updates. We'll be right back.
If you've been in an accident with a truck, making the wrong call can be costly. Evidence and witnesses can disappear. You need to stop that from happening. These are some of the most complicated cases for a law firm. But not if you call one that handles truck cases every day. Call a law firm with the resources, experience, and power to go after every dollar you deserve. If you're hurt in a truck accident, call Joe. The law offices of Joe Bornstein.
Tell them you mean business.
Brandywine Graphics makes it easy. We are the top source for screen printing, embroidery, branded merchandise, and direct-to-garment printing. With 25 years experience, state-of-the-art equipment, and a commitment to excellence, why trust your apparel products with anyone else? And now, Brandywine Graphics can easily launch online stores for your school or organization. Simply design your products from brands like Eddie Bauer, Carhartt, and more. Share the link and we'll do the rest. Like we said, Brandywine Graphics makes it easy. Find out more at brandywinegraphics.com or at our Hamden location.
It's the Furniture Gallery's anniversary sale. Celebrate with us and save big. Queen mattresses as low as $198. Want to recline? Recliners start at just $298. Or upgrade to a power recliner for just $398. Reclining sofa and recliner, just $998. The Furniture Gallery anniversary prices don't stop there. Refresh your living room. Sofas starting at just $448. Complete your bedroom, 5-piece set for only $898. Support our Maine family-owned business and save money. The Furniture Gallery.
Hi, Eastern Maine. Watch Person, Place, or Thing right here on ABC 7, weekdays starting at 10 a.m.
Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. We'll start on the hardwood, where the Maine women's squad hosted NJIT, and one Black Bear had a career night in more ways than one. NJIT unbeaten in conference play coming in. The Black Bears looking to get back on track. We picked this one up right at the tip-off. And it is going to be Madeline Doggs going to work for the Highlanders. She lays it in to open the scoring. Ensuing possession, Caroline Borneman's turn. She looks for a way to get the shot off. Eventually scoops it up and in from under the basket. Nice play from the senior. Shortly after, Alejandro Zuniga throws a dime to Marissa Gingrich to put the Highlanders back on top, but the Black Bears would never give the lead back up. Borneman gets the bucket and the foul. She had a career-high 34 points tonight, including this major milestone right here. Borneman sent to the line. That free throw makes it 1,000 career points for her. So a career-high 34, a career-high 6 assists to go with 13 boards and her 1,000th point. Here's what she had to say post-game.
No, I mean, it's great. It's great, and it's great to come out with a win. So, I mean, I don't really have many words right now, but I'm really happy with the team. Super proud of them all.
Let's move on to New Jersey now for the men's game. It's field trip day. A lot of school children on hand for the 11 a.m. tip in Newark. First half tie game here is where we'll start. Highlanders get the turnover, and they're going to turn it into some easy points. That's Tim Moore Jr. throwing down the windmill slam wide open on the fast break. Here comes Maine now before the half. Keelan Steele fights for the offensive board out to a wide open Kellen Tynes. He stays hot, hits the three to bring Maine within 2. Maine trailed by 3 at the break, but would open the second on fire. Keon Burns gets the steal out to Tynes to A.J. Lopez, and he slams home the dunk. Last minute now, Maine up 10. Offensive board out to Tynes to Lopez, who buries the open 3, and he shushes that crowd full of school children. Maine goes on to win 57-44. And that is their 3rd in a row. Let's pivot to some high school sports now. We'll take the ice at Sawyer Arena, where the John Baptist boys hockey team is having one of their best seasons in years. The Crusaders currently boast a 7-0 record after a 10-1 win over the Gardner Tigers this week. John Baptist put over 70 shots on net in that contest. They've outscored their opponents 33-4 through 7 games. Some impressive stats from the Crusaders, who say they live off of putting pucks on target and fighting to clean up those rebounds.
We harp on really going to the net a lot because we're a pretty small bench team, so got to make up for it, skate a lot, so we really harp on getting to the net more.
Just moving the puck around, getting a lot of shots on net and crashing the net. A lot of rebound goals, yeah. Whenever there's somebody in front, you just got to try and get a shot on net, try and see if they can bury a rebound.
In today's era of high school hockey, your teammates can be scattered across different towns, especially in Maine. And although the Crusaders are split between 4 schools, John Baptist, Herman, Bangor Christian, and Deer Isle Stonington, they say their chemistry is at the core of their early success.
Yeah, I think the off ice is where it's at, and we're just all so close off ice and just hanging out. Everybody's known each other for years, so I think that definitely helps.
With a small team, we're around each other a lot. We're always talking, and no bad blood on this team. We're all friends, we're all buddies.
Just knowing each other so well. We've been playing with each other for years. I actually played on travel teams with a lot of these guys, so that definitely helps.
Wishing them luck the rest of the way. Staying with some high school sports here, we'll get to a hoops game down in Bucksport for a Class B matchup. Foxcroft Academy Ponies making the trip to play the Golden Bucks in a Class B boys clash. First half is where we pick it up. Ponies up, Bucks clawing back. Nick Clare over to Jack Morrison, who pulls this one from the elbow and cashes in on the mid-range jumper. Second half, Beckham 8 has it for the Ponies, out to Lennon McAfee, to Lucas Sands, who pulls up from the corner, and he drains it, lets his bench know too. End of the third, Ponies up 15, but the Bucks didn't hear a bell. Colin McDougall pulls it from 3 at the horn and gets the hometown bounce. Fourth quarter now, and the Ponies would finish strong. Silas Topolsky inside to McAfee. He steps through and banks it home, and then off the inbound, Sands gets it from 8 and gets the shot to fall while fading away. Big game for the Ponies. They win 51-37. That is their 3rd straight win. For some other scores from around the area, Hamden Academy takes down Skowhegan in boys basketball 47-43, and the girls win 47-33. Orono girls pick up a big win at Skank 56-51, and then Central beats George Stevenson girls basketball 53-40. And congratulations to Mary Allen in that one. She had her 1,000th career point. That is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Goose River Farm and Meat Store is conveniently located on Route 3 across from Hammond Lumber in Belfast. They have a wide selection of meat and poultry, including beef, pork, lamb, chicken, duck, rabbit, and turkey. Open Tuesday through Saturday.
I'm Jim with Lowry & Associates. I was contacted by a woman who asked me to help one of her friends who had been hurt by a drunk driver. Not only did he have multiple injuries, he had the added stress of being the victim of a crime. We helped make sure that he didn't have to testify or even go to court. That was important to him, so I made it a priority. We got him a $250,000 settlement. If you've been hurt by a drunk driver, call me. I'm your go-to guy.
Hurt by a drunk driver? Call the twos.
Let Hellman's Bakery put a smile on your face with their tasty offerings of breads, baked beans, lasagna, tuche and turkey pies, fruit and cream pies, wedding and specialty cakes, pastries, and more. Hillman's, your hometown bakery, Fairfield.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith. Well, a new study suggests that red meat could increase the chances of cognitive decline. According to the study conducted by the National Institutes of Health, eating too much red meat, specifically processed bacon, sausage, and bologna, could increase your chances of developing dementia or experiencing cognitive decline as you age. The study found participants who ate at least a quarter of a serving of processed red meat were 13% more likely to develop dementia compared to those who ate less. Researchers say the high saturated fat content in red meat is what can contribute to aging cognitive decline. In order to take care of your cognitive health, they recommend switching to protein sources that offer better health benefits, such as fish, chicken, eggs, low-fat dairy, nuts, legumes, and plant-based options. There's all sorts of evidence these days that suggests the benefits of anti-inflammatory eating, things that are, that are anti-inflammatory, full of antioxidants, berries, salmon, things that won't inflame you, because inflammation causes all sorts of negative things. Okay, that's enough from me. Let's get a look at that forecast from meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Happy Friday. Gale watches are up along the coast and now will last until about 10 p.m. on Saturday. Expect this to get upgraded in the future with active surf that will be expected. Let's check in on the wave heights right now at around 1 to 2 feet according to the buoys right nearby. So we're calm at the moment, but don't expect this to last with active surf that will be making a return for the daytime tomorrow. For now on land, we have some clouds that are passing through, tracking from the west and going toward the east overall. As we zoom things out, a little bit of snow across the northeast, but for us, we will be staying dry today, but our turn for precipitation will be on the way soon. So let's get into things right now with Futurecast. So overall, a partly cloudy sky expected today. Later on tonight, we will have clouds moving in, so increasing clouds overnight. As we head towards your Saturday, most of it dry under a mostly cloudy sky, but then our next system begins to move in late in the day on Saturday, which will bring opportunities for rain and snow that will be moving in with temperatures that will be warm. We'll have snow to the north with rain chances to the south. This will last through early Sunday morning. Then once we head towards Sunday afternoon, this will be out of here. And then once we head towards parts of Sunday night and Monday, another system on the way that we'll have to watch. This one at this point looks to be all snow. So for now, let's talk about the first system. And to the north, maybe an inch or less of snow before we're all finished up. None to the south because it will mainly be as rain. But regarding rainfall or liquid equivalent of that, we're looking at maybe a quarter of an inch or less of rainfall overall before we're all finished up. So, of course, we'll keep an eye on that. The winds will be increasing coming up, not today or tonight, but once we head towards tomorrow, gusty winds up to 25 to even 30 miles per hour will be a possibility. So be careful with that when you venture out. Average high is 28 degrees. We'll do upper 20s today. Lower 40s as we head towards your Saturday, mid 30s Sunday. And then we're in the teens for a bit Monday, Tuesday, and a Wednesday. Back back in the low 20s as we head towards your Thursday. Forecast coming up for today, we have upper 20s, partly cloudy, with the wind overall looking nice and calm. And then by tonight, we have 14 degrees, increasing clouds on the way, and that south wind at around 5 miles per hour. Tomorrow, lower 40s, mostly cloudy for most of the day. Rain and snow moving in late, with that south wind getting up to around 25 miles per hour. And let's check out your extended forecast. So a slight chance for rain and snow Sunday morning, otherwise partly cloudy with highs in the mid-30s. Snow chances on Monday with highs in the upper teens, and lower teens for your Tuesday under a mostly sunny sky.
You come alive in the dead of winter and start work early on snow days, because snowed in is not an option. The Kubota Snow lineup of compact tractors, RTVs, and versatile attachments are built to move, plow, blow, and thrive in the winter. So when the snow falls, you could rise to meet it. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 84 months, plus save up to $300.
Available at Doors Equipment, 1468 Outer Hammond Street, Bangor.
A new year and a new adventure with the perfect Chevy to take you anywhere. With pure power unleashed and future-forward technology. Because every mile matters, and every path leads to new possibilities. Qualified Chevy lessees can get this 2025 Silverado for around $409 a month, or current Chevy owners can get $5,000 total cash allowance.
Orno Arcade has expanded, and we have dozens of new games to play. We have prize machines, including an entire section dedicated to your favorite modern games. We have games from the 80s and games from the 90s. Plus, we have the largest selection of indie arcade games in the country, along with 9-hole blacklight mini golf. We also have a brand new birthday party room. Hey, we have it all. Come on up to Orno and experience one of the most unique family entertainment centers in Maine.
Ghirardelli Intense Dark. Bold. Rich. Intensely delicious dark chocolate. Ghirardelli Intense Dark makes life a bite better.
The pressure starting to mount. A trip to the AFC Championship game on the
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. Well, finally now, a mother dog stuns workers at a veterinary clinic in Turkey by carrying her unconscious puppy to their door looking for help. The female dog, named Mom by the veterinarians, arrived at their clinic door Monday, clutching her lifeless puppy in her mouth. The vet tech initially thought the puppy was dead, but the veterinarian detected a faint heartbeat. He administered an adrenaline shot, then warmed the puppy using a hairdryer. Mom remained nearby, occasionally checking in on her child. The veterinarian believes Mom may have known about the clinic by following members of the community who rescued her other puppy who had brought it there. And it looks like both the puppies are doing very okay now. That's a really smart dog. Oh, they're really cute. Really great work by the vets too. Love the story. Okay, looks like we're about out of time. If you missed anything, you can head to foxbangor.com, and we'll continue broadcasting for a renewed hour of Good Morning Maine. That's next on Fox 22. I hope you have a great weekend.
Hi, this is Jim with Lowry & Associates.
Some guy slid across the center line and hit my daughter. The cops said the guy was driving way too fast for the snowy conditions.
I'm so sorry you guys are going through this. Is your daughter okay?
She just had surgery yesterday. Is there any way you can come meet us at the hospital?
Absolutely. I can meet you at the hospital right now.
Lowry & Associates came to the hospital and settled my daughter's case for $250,000.
I'm Jim with Lowry & Associates. Call us. We win for you.
The most important thing is family. AAA shares the same family values. For over 100 years, AAA has been providing legendary service and has helped what it values most, its members. Join our family, and you could save on your auto insurance policy with our competitive pricing. We offer you our support when you need it. whether it's questions about your policy or with our most trusted roadside assistance service. Visit AAA.com/insurance and find out how much you could save.
Your favorite restaurants were half off. It's half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7. Go to foxbangor.com, click on half off dining, and start saving now.
Opa, a Greek Mediterranean dining experience like no other, serving the finest Greek dishes in central Maine. Let Executive Chef Gage Derbyshire prepare your food while you enjoy a drink. Opa, it's all Greek to me.
Great restaurants from all over Eastern Maine at half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7.
Winter is a time to get outside and enjoy all that Maine has to offer. And when it's time to come inside, rest assured everything's toasty because of your Fujitsu heat pump from Valley Home Services. The comfort and warmth of home means more on days like these. Push a button and you'll be snuggling up on the couch in no time. Valley Home Services offers reliable rebates, significant energy savings, and expert installation. Embrace the comfort of Fujitsu heat pumps from Valley Home Services. Call or click today.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
From the Great Northwoods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Today on Good Morning Maine, the Bangor Police Department continues to look for a robbery suspect, releasing new footage in hopes of catching their guy. Plus, the state has a large heating assistance request backlog, with many people worried about how they'll heat their homes for the rest of the winter. And it's not just affecting people in California. Home insurance rates could be impacted across the nation due to extreme weather trends. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith and thank you for tuning in this morning. Today's quite chilly. Tomorrow we do have a break from the cold. It's going to be about 40 degrees tomorrow, but that does bring the chance of a wintry mix. So let's get a look at the forecast from the expert meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, happy Friday. We have a gale watch that is